yesterday. Let's talk about the Cavs, which in some cases you could call it a disgusting performance. But we're going to talk about them after a new, updated read from the number one sportsbook in America. That is FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easier to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play small and win big. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. You can make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So, Jason, in last night's Game 1 loss, did Indiana expose anything about the Cavaliers, or is it simply just a bad shooting night for Cleveland and a hell of a shooting night for the Pacers?
Yeah, I think a couple things can be true. One, it's that. Bull talked about earlier. They shot 54% from three. I'm going to take my chances that they're not going to shoot 54% from three by the end of the series. And the Cavs had a terrible shooting night. It's not so much this series that's a concern to me as much as the Darius factor is the bigger concern, and what kind of shape is he going to be in. You have to have an effective Darius Garland. This is the team trying to win a championship. You're not going to do that without effective Darius. I won't even say healthy because he's not going to be healthy. The question is, how can he play on this toe, and what are you going to get out of him? I think, it's time to go now. If there's any way at all for him to go, he's got to go in Game 2. It was a different feel to the game without him out there. And the talk last week that we said at the time was ludicrous, that they're a better team without Darius. It's just stupid. And I think a lot of that was sort of exposed last night. Ty Jerome, for all the things that he is, and we've just raved all year long about what an incredible season he's had and what a huge piece of the team, and that's all still true. The one thing he's not is fast.
Yep.
And that foot speed, that lack of foot speed, I think was exposed at times last night, where Darius can get to spots that Ty cannot. And Ty's usage rate was well over 30%. That's way too high. Donovan's was over 40%. Donovan's was, I think, like 41. 20 shots is too much for Ty. Evan Mobley took 13 shots last night. The Pacers don't have a counter to Evan Mobley. You can't have Ty taking 20 shots and Evan taking 13. If you do that, you better win the game. And they didn't do that. Cavs scored 70 points in the paint last night and lost. I'm sure it's happened before. I feel like the Nuggets have probably done that quite a few times. But it's very rare to score 70 points in the paint and lose a game. And it's sort of that's how the game's played now. That's the reliance on the three-point line. And also just the fact the Cavs couldn't make a shot from three. So I'm not going to get wrapped up in the fact that they lost the game. We've said all year, I've said for 2 years, the Pacers play fast and they score a ton of points. Well, you saw that. But the Cavs also, the pace, everyone's making a big deal about the pace that the game was played at last night, and it was. The Cavs played 47 games this year at a higher pace than last night, and they went 40-7. So let's not act like they're not accustomed to playing this fast. They are, and they can play faster than this. But Darius is a big piece of that. So I'm really sort of concerned with the Darius thing, with the toe. Can he play in Game 2? What kind of condition he's going to be in? What are you going to get out of him? And that's something that looms over the rest of this postseason. It's not just the Pacers series. It's what comes after that. If they advance beyond that, it's Boston. You need Darius for Boston too, obviously. So and it's not just like, Evan had the ankle. DeAndre Hunter had the finger. So we've said it before, when the Cavs won the championship, there was a war of attrition. And you've got to stay healthy. And a lot of that is luck. And they just didn't have a lot of luck last night, and now we'll see what the fallout of that is for the rest of the series.
I don't know that this is true, but it's just my theory. Last night, rust outworked rest. How else can you explain? They were getting good shots. It's not like they were taking poor shots. I mean, not all of their shots were good, and some of them were head-scratchingly bad. But they had enough open looks to shoot better than 9 of 30. I think that's what they were. Was that what the final numbers were? They 9 of 30?
It was 24%. I don't remember what the exact
I think
number
it was 9 of 30. I just feel like there's some things you cannot simulate. Bull, in baseball, when a team wins a series early and then they come back after 5 or 6 days and the other team was just played a Game 7 and they're hot and they're loose and they're ready. Sometimes it doesn't always extend through the whole game, but oftentimes the first 2 times through the lineup, those guys, they haven't seen live pitching in 5 days. And in this case, the Cavs hadn't seen a pace like this. You can't simulate a pace like this. And I just think it was one of those nights that you chalk it up to rust got them. They will not shoot the ball that poorly from three the rest of the series. If they do, they'll lose the series. I don't think they'll shoot the ball that poorly again. I feel like you, Jay, they're not going to the Pacers are not going to shoot 50% for the series. I don't know that they'll do it again for one single game. They hit everything last night. But I said on Friday when we made our picks, this team scares me. I think I picked Cavs in 6. I'll stick with that. But I won't stick with that if they lose game 2, because if they lose game 2, I think they're losing the series.
Well, what was really impressive from Indiana is they did it on the road. If a team shoots like that, a lot of times they're going to shoot like that at home.
In an insane environment.
Yeah, so to come in here and do that give credit to the Pacers. They played terrific. That's probably about as good of a basketball game as they can play for 48 minutes. And it was good enough to get the win. The Cavs offense, I didn't think they created a lot of good looks. It felt like a lot of iso ball. It felt like a lot of one-on-one. It was Ty trying to create. It was Donovan trying to create, and there just wasn't a lot of ball movement. Kenny said afterwards he didn't love the quality of the looks that they got. He thought it was very average. There just wasn't a lot of that drive, kick, swing component that they've built their season on. And again, it goes back to Darius. Well, yeah, and I thought the Cavs did a terrible job of guarding the three-point line. I thought they did a terrible job of closing out. Kenny seemed more aggravated with some of the offensive stuff than some of the defensive stuff. I thought it was kind of both ends. But it just wasn't. And again, I think a lot of it was no Darius out there. Darius can create for others. And the way he can get to the paint, Mike and I talked about it on the Cavs podcast we did a couple weeks ago. The Cavs can get to the paint whenever they want. When they're healthy, when they're whole, when they're playing the right way. And when they get to the paint, it initiates everything. It starts everything. Sure. You can finish at the rim. You can kick to the corner. You can kick and swing. And that piece really felt like it was missing last night. They really struggled to generate good looks, I think, because it just felt like it devolved into a lot of iso ball.
Yeah. A lot of things to unpack from what you guys said. First of all, in terms of the rust part of this, I appreciated Kenny Atkinson's honesty at the end of the game where he goes, after a game like this, you second-guess yourself. Should I have practiced more? Should I have done this? I like the fact that he didn't make it seem like, I have all the answers.
He's always like that.
I like that, and I respect that. I love that at the end of the third quarter in his in-game interview, he's like, how much fun is this? This is great. I love that. It's interesting because I never thought the Cavs were going to lose until the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Really?
Even when they were down 12, I was like, they're going to come back. They're going to come back. And then they made that run. They were down 12. Then they were down 10. And Sam Merrill hit that 3 with about 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. And that's when they started that big run.
They were down 80-68, I think.
Right. And then they took the lead. And then, what's his name, hit the 3 at the buzzer for the Pacers.
Miles Turner.
Yeah. And that gave the Pacers the lead going into the fourth. But I thought what was interesting to me, and I'm very curious to see, Mike and Jason, what you guys think about this specifically because you're so into basketball, is the Cavs clearly couldn't make any threes. They had a couple early, and then they just couldn't knock almost anything down. Outside of that Merrill 3 is like the only one I remember in the second half. I know Max Strus hit one, but in that stretch of time where the one stretch where they played their best basketball from like the 6-minute mark to the 90-second mark of the third quarter and a little bit in the start of the fourth quarter, what they were doing so well in that stretch of time was feeding the post. Jared Allen was involved. He was getting dunks. There was a bunch of... Now, I thought that's the only time... Yes, there was some Ty Jerome to the basket and a lot of Donovan Mitchell to the basket. But there was also good ball movement down low, I thought, in that stretch. And that's what brought them back, not the threes. And then it felt like in the last 6 minutes, they just went back to shooting threes again, which I get because they've been so good all year. But that wasn't what was working for them last night. So I was surprised they just kind of stopped trying to get the ball down low. And that's when I thought in the last 6 minutes in particular, they took some questionable shots.
Well, they scored 70 in the paint. Like, do you want them to score 80?
Yes.
But that's a ton.
Yes.
That's a ton of points.
I know, but
this is a team.
It was what was working for them. Indiana had no answer to it.
I agree. Like, and I felt like they. I don't want to hit. Talk out of both sides of my mouth because Evan took 13 shots. He needs to take more.
Right.
And they need to exploit that size advantage because they do. They don't. Indiana, I don't think has anyone who can guard Evan Mobley one-on-one. Pascal Siakam, Evan will eat him up. But at the same time, they did score 70 in the paint. And this is a team predicated on shooting threes. Shooters, ask Mike, shooters are going to shoot. I remember talking to Dion when he was here. He was like 0 for 8. And I said, you ever think like maybe you shouldn't pull the next one? He looked at me like I insulted his mother. He's like, no, man, the next one's going in.
Yeah,
that's
short
how
memory.
I
It's like a cornerback.
I get it. And in most but I'm not saying they shouldn't in game 2, 3, or 4. I just felt like it was going so well for them. After they had played like crap for 2.5 quarters, they make this run getting the ball in the paint.
Jason,
I don't know.
They scored 70 points in the paint. Who do you think led the regular season in points in the paint per game?
Denver.
Correct.
Yeah,
How many points in the paint per game do you think they averaged per game? This was number 1 in the NBA during the regular season.
Probably
50.
in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
58.5.
Yeah, close.
So 11 and a half more points in the paint last night for Cleveland.
I don't care. It wasn't enough. They should have kept going. I think.
Point Bowl.
Yeah, you do have to. I think, Bull, I agree with you. I do think that, not that you change your DNA overnight. You don't. But it's just like the pitcher who might live off the fastball, but for whatever reason, guys are lighting up his fastball.
And on that one day you
then
play
what do you
differently.
do? Then you just start throwing sliders or off speed or whatever.
Maybe I didn't finish my point correctly. In the fourth quarter, I think Donovan, who had to work incredibly hard to even get the ball. I thought one thing Indiana did really well yesterday was make Donovan work just to get his touches. And Donovan took 30 shots last night. 30 shots in 34 minutes. He was 1 of 11 from 3.
Right.
And he was 2 of 19 from 2.
12 of 19.
12 of 19, sorry. 12 of 19 from 2. 1 of 11 from 3. Ended up with 33 points. I think he just wore down in the fourth quarter.
Did he look? He looked exhausted to me in the third quarter. He looked tired.
Well, he put the Superman cape on in the third quarter.
And that's when, after he did that, and they went on that 17 whatever run, I said, wow, he's gassed. And they did. I thought Kenny was smart to get him out at the end of the third.
But again,
he was tired.
And again, this goes back to no Darius because now.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead. You say it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to say the same.
It plays into that. Without Darius
he's doing
in the core,
more.
There's such an emphasis on Donovan to create everything. And you look at their starting lineup, and then we can talk about Ty in a sec because we have some
Tyrese. Tyrese doesn't have to guard anyone.
Exactly. But in the starting lineup, without Darius, you have Merrill, Strus, Mitchell, Allen, and Mobley. Who are you worried of taking you off the dribble and creating that constant pressure and forcing rotations? It's Mitchell, and then it's Mobley, but Mobley does it in a different way, attacking bigs. You're not worried about Merrill. You're not worried about Strus. Allen's not a guy. Darius's presence is what allows everything else to kind of fall into place with the core 4. And sure, you could argue and look at the Miami series and say, oh, look at the defensive numbers with how well they played against Miami. Just sucked at offense.
We need that toe to heel quickly.
That could be real. Indiana is a different beast than Miami. And Darius, against the full court pressure that Indiana likes to play with, against the half court switching that Indiana likes to use defensively, this is a series where Darius, although he may get picked on defensively, is going to make a night and day difference offensively.
Where was your worry meter on 1 to 10 coming into the series?
I think I was higher on Indiana than anyone else on the show entering the series. Jason almost laughed at me for giving Indiana as much credit as I tried to give him.
Ultimately, you picked the Cavs in 5, I thought.
I said Cavs in 6.
I said 5.
I said 6.
I said 5.
Okay, so where were you? Like a 3?
I think Indiana's been playing very well. They played really well down the stretch. I think Cleveland is a better team overall.
No, I know, but where
without
were
Darius,
you on the worry meter?
3.5, 4.
Okay, where are you today?
4.5, 5.
Yeah, see, I am. Mine is elevated. But
it's
not
less of
panic.
It's
but
less
it's
of
up.
last night. It's more of Darius's toe,
Yes,
right?
yes.
DeAndre's finger, Evan's ankle, and Donovan's knee. Like, it's a war of attrition in the playoffs. And the Cavs left last night, 1 game into the second round.
5 games into the playoffs.
With an injury report that does not look great.
No, it doesn't.
That's what worries more than anything else.
If both of these teams are whole, I'll stick with Cavs in 5.
You will?
Oh, yeah.
So if Darius comes back, they sweep from here.
Well, I mean, it's not just it's not Darius coming back. It's what does he have when he is back?
Yeah, right.
So that's what I'm saying. If both teams are healthy and whole, I still think the Cavs would win in 5. Now, because Darius is not going to be Darius even on this toe. I don't think anyone knows.
What's the deal with him?
What does Halliburton have? A back?
It's sprained toe. It's
bad back.
No. I'm sorry. What's the deal with game 2? Like, is he likely to play? Sorry.
I think
he's day to day.
Yeah, they're not going to say. I think he's probably going to play. But I'm just basing that on a couple
You
conversations.
think they were like, we're going to sit them until we lose?
I think it's probably a smart
Yeah.
thing to do,
Yeah.
and I think they probably lost before because it's my understanding. It's more of a pain tolerance thing than anything, and
Yeah.
I'm not calling them soft or anything like that.
Yeah.
Though, ask anyone who's tried to play through turf toe and sprain. It's
Brutal.
awful. It's
Yeah.
horrible, and you got to push off. And the way that the Pacers pressure, they were picking guys up full court last night. Like it's asking a lot. So even if he plays, he can't play his normal lot.
What is the pain management available for that? You can shoot it up.
I would imagine you shoot it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then the question is, how much does that actually affect his performance? Because sometimes
I've talked to guys
you
who
need that. You need that feeling.
I've talked to guys who've gotten multiple shots and said it more for high ankle sprain. I don't know about toe.
Right.
I've talked to guys who've had high ankle sprain, gotten multiple Toradol shots, and said it didn't do anything.
Okay,
It didn't even help.
Dustin was on Wednesday, and he said he played through turf toe. Turf toe and a big toe sprain are not exactly the same injuries,
Right.
but they're in the same vein. And Dustin said of all the things he's played through in his career, that was by far the most painful.
Yeah, it's not a picnic.
Imagine you do everything with your big toe.
Every step you take.
Yeah.
Every single step.
So I just think it was wise to set them the 2 Miami games. If they'd won game 1, I'd have sat them in game 2.
Yeah.
Right.
But now he's got to play.
Now you need
That's
him.
not the
Yeah.
luxury that they're in right now.
now you
So
need him.
now you got to, and now you have to hope that Evan's ankle isn't serious. DeAndre will probably be okay, I would think. But yeah, you've got to be healthy to win a championship. Anyone who's won a championship will tell you have got to have health, and that's just a luck of the draw.
Was it Mobley or Allen that had the hard fall after
Allen.
Allen.
Yeah.
But that was
that was
scared
rough.
the heck out
And
of me.
Hunter had a tough fall, too.
Hunter
Yep.
did too. He had a
He
couple
admitted
of
to getting
tough-
his finger popped back into place in the locker room.
Well,
after
he
the
also
game.
got, he didn't fall, but there was that one shot where he took to the shoulder.
Yeah.
He didn't fall in that play, but
It
he
was
took
a
a big
collision,
hit,
right?
Hunter, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very physical game. Teams think they can out-physical the Cavs because the Cavs have not been physical enough in the past. We'll see if they can overcome it.
It's a great basketball game, though. It was fun to
It was
watch.
great.
It was a great game.
I mean, the only downside was the outcome for Cavs fans.
One more thing before we move on. We're going to get back to the Cavs in a little bit, talk more in depth on the update to Darius. But the Pacers got a ton of open looks last night from 3. Like a ton of open looks last night from 3. And I did a little breakdown. You can find it on the UCSS channel this morning. But I'm curious on your guys' thoughts. The way Indiana swings the ball, it's similar to what Cleveland wants to do, right? I said going into the series, I thought Indiana does a lot of the same things as Cleveland, maybe just not to the same level. Last night, obviously, they did it to that level. But Cleveland's tendency to overhelp is what made them so effective against Miami, but it's almost the complete opposite of what I think you need to do against Indiana. Miami doesn't have the shooters or the creators off the dribble to where you can overhelp if they kick to Hayward Highsmith. You're like, thank God, Hayward, take that shot.
Yeah.
Against Indiana, if you overhelp against Halliburton, he's going to pass it to Nembhard or Neesmith.
And they're going to hit him.
And they're either going to hit him or they're going to drive and force you into rotations. And, Steve, you want to take 288 full here. If you just look at some of these threes that Indiana got last night, I thought it was, this one in particular, miscommunication. Strus and Okoro both go with Jarris Walker and leave Neesmith wide open. That's just an unacceptable defensive miscommunication. They made 19 threes last night. They only made 19 threes in the regular season 5 times all year. One of their best shooting performances of the entire season. This one, Hunter comes up to help, leaves Matherin in the corner, decent closeout. But, Jason, I know you said Kenny wasn't as concerned defensively as he was with the offense. But as you let this play through here, Steve, just let it play through. Some of these just way too open threes to allow.
That was my point. Yeah, I didn't like the way that it just felt like they didn't run guys off the line. It felt like they didn't close out. They gave them a lot of those looks, and credit to the Pacers, man, to do that on the road in a game 1 when you're talking not star players but role players in a lot of instances. Yeah. That's hard to do.
Right now, it feels like the Pacers are the deeper team, because especially without Darius.
Well, Mike,
do you trust Dean Wade or Okoro?
No.
Those guys combined for 30 minutes, they had 0 points and 4 rebounds.
Dean has been a 0 in the playoffs.
He's a total 0.
And it's really disappointing because I've really championed him the last couple of years, and I said it this year. I thought their best lineup was with him at the 3 during the regular season. Yeah. If you look at across his career postseason numbers are dreadful. Yeah. And he was a 0 yesterday. And again, it goes back to when you lose Darius, everyone else slides up a spot. Yeah. You're really counting on Sam for big-time production, putting him in the starting lineup. But, Okoro's on the court for fourth quarter minutes. They're never going to guard Isaac Okoro. They want him to shoot as many corner threes as he wants to take. And so...
what is the point of playing him?
Well, I mean, you have it. If you're playing a 10-man rotation, you lose Darius, you're down to 9.
Okay.
Sam starting, you got to have somebody out there.
I mean, are there better options?
I would not play him in the fourth quarter.
Are there better options on their bench?
No.
Like, should we give guys, other guys a chance or
on
no?
their bench.
No. I mean, were you going to play Craig Porter?
I mean,
no.
Can he be any worse?
I don't think Okoro should be out there in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Like usually, if you're trying to hide a guy in a rotation spot, it's second quarter.
Right, yeah.
End of the first quarter, into the second, there's like a 5-6 minute stretch where you can sort of hide a guy where he's not going to kill you. I don't think Okoro should be in the game in the fourth quarter.
And what about Dean Wade? Like, who could you play Tyson?
I mean, now you're counting on a rookie.
I hear you, but it's not that many minutes.
You signed Javonte Green, who plays a similar role. He's a
So,
vet.
I'm just asking. I'm not saying
No,
panic moves after one game.
I think
but
that's your best option. If you're not going to play Okoro,
yeah,
you give Javonte Green those minutes and
yeah.
see how
Give
he
somebody
fares.
else a shot. I mean, Wade and Okoro have done nothing the entire postseason,
Well,
and
the
they have
issue
no
with
track
Wade,
record of doing anything in the postseason.
The issue with Wade, they don't have another backup big. He's the
That is-
only size. I mean,
That is the issue.
he's the only size you have.
DeAndre's your backup big. Really?
Yeah, but you're at a disadvantage there.
Well, yeah, but
I
mean,
know you're looking for options, and he's a body that can do it if he absolutely has to. But
that's your backup.
But he's
big.
scared. I mean, he looks like he's scared when he's on the court.
DeAndre?
No. Dean Wade.
Oh, I said Dean's been a zero.
yeah,
Throughout his, I mean, go back to 2 years ago, and he was coming off the injury 2 years ago. Last year, I can't remember. I think he was hurt. I don't remember. But I think he's made 4 shots in the playoffs in his career.
Oh my god!
In his career, he's 6 of 21 in the playoffs.
6. Okay.
Yeah,
I shorted him too. Sorry.
Well, that's what 31%, 30%.
28%.
All right, that's not good.
So yeah, I mean, we talked all year about the depth on this team, but when you take out one key piece at the top, it really sort of there's a massive trickle down effect.
It is interesting because we've thought all year that's among their strengths.
Right.
Was their depth.
Yeah,
and last
but
night I'm watching it going, this is what we're left. This is what we have right now.
But Mike and I said, you shouldn't play. I don't think this team should play 10 in the playoffs. But again, without Darius, it sort of ruffles things. If Darius is healthy, if they're whole and healthy, I think you have your starting 5. Ty, DeAndre, and Merrill is your 8. Merrill's your 8th.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's
that
it.
should be enough.
And you roll with those 8.
Should be enough.
And if you have a little pocket in the second quarter where you need to give a guy a blow or whatever,
I'm just saying, for those couple of minutes, why not give somebody else a chance when the two guys who are playing those roles are doing absolutely nothing?
Yeah, I think, Bull, that's a great point.
I'm not saying they're going to be any better. They may suck too, but why not give it a shot?
Yeah, you can figure it out. Playoffs are different, man. Some guys rise to it. Some guys shrink because of it. And, I hate to say it, nice guy, root for him, but Dean Wade is shrinking in the moment.
Yeah,
and it's hurting the team for sure.
What did he play last night, Mike? 13 minutes or 16? Who is he like?
Dean Wade had 16 minutes, was 0 for 2 from the floor, 0 for 1 from 3. He did have 3 rebounds and was a -1 plus-minus in those 16 minutes.
Defensively, Mike, to me, it seemed like the burned image in my mind is him closing out on threes. And sometimes it just looked like it was a going through the motion closeout. Is that because he's too far out of position to begin with?
I'd have to go back and look at each one individually. There's a couple of them we just showed you, that clip.
Right.
Where it's actually a good closeout. You don't want to jump.
One of his closeouts that you showed was really good.
Yeah, you don't want to go flying.
But some of the other ones look like they were just gratuitous.
Like Strus on that final basket of the third quarter.
Well, that one's tough because with the clock running down and 2 seconds left, that's a center. Like, how many times are you expecting a center to pump fake, take a sidestep, and shoot it?
Yeah.
That's not a good closeout in the big picture with 2 seconds left. It's a little tougher. I don't know how many we'll see in this clip. I just put all the threes back to back to back to back they made. But there's one closeout from Wade here. It's the next clip. I know it's coming, which is a good closeout. Chops his feet, gets a hand up. You don't let the drive. This is the play where Dean actually makes
This one I thought was
closeout.
a good closeout.
No, this is a good closeout from Dean here. Chops his feet,
Yeah,
hand up. Like,
yeah.
That's a
He
good
got
closeout.
into his face.
I mean, if that's the highlight of his game in 16 minutes,
Yeah, that's probably not a good thing. But look at this.
Congratulations, Dean. You're
That's
an
a
NBA
complete.
basketball
That's
player.
on Donovan, by the way.
Stood in front of
that plays
somebody.
on Donovan. I have a whole breakdown of 4 of these on our YouTube page if you want to go
How
through.
long is that breakdown?
It's like 7 minutes.
I think it would have been worth showing it here.
And we'll play it at the end of the show. We'll
If
talk
time,
more
I think
Darius.
we
Yeah,
should-
yeah, we could do that.
Because I love your breakdowns, and I think our viewers would get something out of it.
All right, well, let's talk a little guards, and when we come back, we'll add that at the end of the Darius clip. But we could do that.
Can I just, one last thing, Mike?
Yeah, of course.
It's a quick statement. Obi Toppin is making progress in my players I want to punch in the face list.
Why?
I don't like him. He rubs me the wrong. First of all, and he's not the only one. There's a thing in the NBA. I don't know how long they've been doing this, for a year or two, whatever. That every time they hit a 3, that everybody's got to do this, as if a 3 is some big accomplishment in the NBA. That's all guys do is chuck 3s all day long, and I hate this. And the way he did it makes it look like a gun. He should have gotten a technical foul for that. Why
is he going like this, like it's a double barrel gun?
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing, but he's so he's like shushing the crowd. Shut up! You're a bench player on a diet vanilla team.
But those are the guys you want on your team. But
oh yeah,
those
love
are
him on
also
the
the
Cavs.
guys you want to punch
love him,
in
but
the
I want to
face.
punch him in the
Hey,
face.
you come in and you shoot like that, and you play like that, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I know.
You earned it.
To the victor goes the spoils.
You earned it.
Screw you, man.